Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host Matt, and with me this week is our resident gaming journalist Eli
Hello, how's it going?
and our pro gamer Mike.
How's it going? Hello. Eli stole it from me. So.
Yeah, I looked at his notes before we started.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, is that your intro?" Yoink.
Yep. So this week there isn't really much news to talk about except for Pokemon, so we're pretty much just going to talk about Pokemon. Although I did want to bring up this one game I saw that I thought was cool. It's actually developed by the Little Nightmares developer, and it's published by Nintendo. It's called The Stretchers. It kind of reminds me of the Overcooked, where you have like a team and you both have to like coordinate with each other. These are like two people who have to carry like victims on a stretcher through like mazes and things and obstacles to like the ambulance, and then you got to drive the ambulance, which is all crazy. It just like launched out of nowhere, but yeah, if you're looking for a little indie game, then check that out because it does look kind of fun.
Did you didn't play yet?
No, I didn't play it because it's just like stealth dropped. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, but I also don't have like many people to play with in person, so
Yeah, I don't see why if Nintendo published a game, they wouldn't actually like give it some marketing legs other than posting Twitter videos about it. So, yeah, I was kind of surprised when that dropped that they didn't have any sort of, it wasn't even in a Nintendo Direct or anything, which I guess you'd expect from a game published by Nintendo.
Yeah, it was weird. It just they announced out of nowhere, and they're like, "Yep, here it is." It's like, oh, okay. Even with was it Game Freak's indie game? I don't know if they published that or not, but they didn't mention it. It's like, okay, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
Huge developer, just do nothing. And it was exclusive, so it's not like, oh, we don't want to advertise someone else's game. But anyway, I just thought that'd be neat to mention. But let's get on to the actual news. Pokemon. So apparently everyone else in the world has beaten it except me. I only just beat League the second gym like before
fake
the podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't get it until like a day late because.
So let me get this straight. You were on a Nintendo podcast and you couldn't carve out 8 hours of your day each day since release to beat this thing?
Yeah, I mean, Matt, even I beat it, and I haven't
Hey.
game in a decade.
You don't want me to.
And I only had 3 extra days on everybody.
Oh,
I mean,
only.
Yeah, man. Like, what do you do with? By the way, Matt, I'll John for you. It's really addicting to catch Pokemon or stay in the wild area in this game. So if you're just kind of exploring in those areas, you're just catching them, I'll give you that excuse. Otherwise, there's no other excuse.
Man, Matt, maybe you should have been considerate about your listeners and quit your job. That would have been.
You're right, totally. But actually, funny thing you bring up the max raid battles. So I decided you can join like other friends' raid battles, and I'm like, oh, this person's online. I think I'll like join one of theirs, see how it goes. And like my guy dies, like I think it was like the second one to die, and like no one else has died. And I hit like once or twice, it did like no damage. I'm like, okay, these guys are clearly way past my level. And I found out after like my Pokemon was like 13, theirs was like 50. It was like, oh yeah, that kind of explains it. And then so you get candies from defeating max raid battles. They're kind of like rare candies, except rather than leveling you up to the next level, it gives you a certain like a specific number amount, so it can go past that level, and it's basically just more effective. And I used one on like one of my Pokemon, and it went up like 5 or 6 levels. Like, I guess I shouldn't be using that anytime soon. Just overpowered my Pokemon out of nowhere. So I gotta like avoid battling with anyone else on those now, because I'm like, if I get one, then everything else is gonna be like super over leveled. Like even now, I like avoided wild battles unless it was Pokemon I wanted to catch, just so I could like try to even it out. Like the game kind of tries to do that by giving you like less experience and like leveling it out between who's strong or not. But
it's weird because the game itself, I feel like, so you got the wild area, which I think is phenomenal.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, but it seems like it's not really intended to be used before you beat the game,
No,
or
not
like
at all.
no, or toward the end game, because it's like, man, I think the game actually has a decent amount of challenge compared to other games, especially Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon was like a joke, but I thought that I had a decent amount of challenge. But I'm saying that because I did not spend any time in the wild area really until I beat the game. So I just like ran from town to town. Because of that, I felt my Pokemon were adequately leveled to keep the game like not easy. It was, I thought, just like a medium difficulty. But I can imagine had I spent hours in the wild area, I would have been way over leveled for everything.
Yeah.
That's exactly the first thought I had when I'm in the wild area. I was like, oh, let me do these Dynamax battle raids. They're pretty cool. And then I'm like, well, my Pokemon are already leveled like 22, and I haven't got to the first gym yet. And I'm like, are they gonna not listen to me? Like, I was like just super worried because you get the extra XP from Dynamax battles, you get all the candies like Matt was saying earlier. You know what I mean? And then like you could run into Pokemon that are way higher level, and I'm just like, I literally could come. You could beat the entire game if you just grinded the wild area for like 8 hours to start the game, and then the rest of it would be a joke.
My starter was like on the second stage before I got the first gym. I'm like, this seems wrong somehow. Like.
But no, I do like the other thing too. What they do in the wild area. I know we're kind of like jumping around with it, but I did like how. First off, I thought like the 3D camera control was just fine. I think whistling doesn't work. I can never get any flying Pokemon that come to me. But I do like how the more challenging Pokemon are larger. So it's like, oh, I should watch out because this guy is probably stronger than me, kind of thing. So I thought that was like a nice little niche touch. But wild area has so much to do, but at the same time, I think they threw it too early on you in the game. Like they wanted to show it off immediately, but like Eli says, it's really more of an end game thing. But at the same time, it is fantastic to go through.
The only thing I don't really like about it, and this is probably just a personal thing, is that so far I haven't explored all of it. So far, most of it is just old Pokemon, which is a neat way of saying like, hey, you want to collect the old ones, like go to these parts. But it's like I also want to play in that area, but find some new ones. And I found out there are some because there's one I found in another area, and it said the habitat was also in the wild area. So I don't know how many new ones are in it, but it seems like it's mostly old, and I'd rather focus on new ones. So it seems like it'll be more of like a level up kind of area for me. But
I mean, I don't know. I think there's an element of genius behind it, and that first off, there are only like 80 new Pokemon. So, that's like 50 Pokemon families, I guess, if not fewer. And so it kind of makes sense that probably even less, than 50. So there's not that many, new Pokemon for you to go catch.
Sure.
And if this were my first Pokemon game, and I jumped in there, that it would be incredible. Can you imagine like the diversity of Pokemon that you would face? And I think that that's their intention with leaving out all those Pokemon from prior games. It's like this is supposed to be kind of its own like standalone grandiose experience. So for us, obviously, we're like used to all these Pokemon. But I can imagine that if you have only played for a few generations, and especially if this is your first game, which I imagine is probably a small percentage, but still, it really seems like a comprehensive and holistic experience, just because they try to really engage with the wild area as an environment in itself of like what Pokemon would be in its purest form if you just like imagined what the world of Pokemon would look like. So I really appreciated that. But yeah, I mean, there's only 80 new Pokemon, whatever, 40 or 50 Pokemon families. So it makes sense that there would definitely be a heavy reliance on these other gens of Pokemon when there's 500 Pokemon in total or 450 that they brought over.
I just want to see like
Matt,
a handful of new ones anyway. But...
Eli goes. Let me build. Because I wanted to build on that because I do think it's also genius in that sense. Because a lot of people that I talked to or when I was recording all that, they said this is their first game since Red and Blue, and I think it's kind of smart to show more familiar Pokemon or older Pokemon in the beginning. However, I did really like to kind of, I guess it's a fake spoiler, but later on in the wild area, I saw a lot more Galar region Pokemon kind of thing. So don't be like, oh man, there's only the original amounts are over here. I found like if you go deeper in the wild area, you'll see more of the region specific Pokemon. So.
Nice. Yeah, like I was looking at one Pokedex, and it said one of the newer ones was over there, so I'm sure it's like obviously there's some new Pokemon. I just haven't been able to explore it all yet, but it is a cool area. I do want to see more of it. Speaking of the new Pokemon, I was surprised in like the first grass area that you can go into. There's like at least 7 or 8 new Pokemon. I'm like, man, there's a lot here, and I caught like I'm just catching all the new ones, but there were quite a few where I'm like, yeah, I'd like to play out this one and see what it evolves into and check it out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
does anybody have a quote new one they really like so far? Or no, like the bird guy I really like that turns into the knight that went from squire to knight.
yeah,
He's pretty cool. I heard he used the guy who designed that Pokemon used to work on a Mega Man comic for Capcom.
Really?
Yeah, he worked on
neat.
Big O, and that was like a Toonami show, anime show, and then he worked on a Mega Man Capcom, actual Mega Man Capcom comic, not like a fan one.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I love Sirfetch'd. He's a great one. I agree.
Oh, Sirfetch'd is awesome too.
I had to think about it. Do you have any favorites, Matt?
Just trying to think of. I'm like trying to remember which ones are on my team and like not Google it so I don't get like someone shows off all the new things.
No, don't worry, dude. Okay, because I'm such a Pokemon scrub.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. I thought this is one of the harder Pokemon I've played since like Silver Gold. I almost lost to the 4th gym leader, which I heard a lot of people do. It doesn't matter Shield or Sword. And if I didn't have any restores, the champ Leon he wrecked me. If I didn't have any full restores, I got wrecked by the champ. So.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, there was a decent amount of challenge, especially if you didn't have healing items.
Yeah, if you tried to play raw, it was rough.
Yeah, but once again, that's if you kind of ran through the wild area. If you definitely spent some time in there, I could imagine. I just really appreciate too in the wild area. I mean, you have Pokemon in the wild area going up to level 60, 65. Like, they're not messing around. And, they recognize that people are in this game, for the long run. I really didn't appreciate how in a lot of other games, like the highest level Pokemon you'd reach, there would be an area maybe where you've got level 50 Pokemon. And, you got to grind off that if you actually want to, like, level your Pokemon up or go back to the Elite Four. So I definitely appreciate that they're like, oh, yeah, people actually play this game seriously. We're going to give them an opportunity here to grind with higher level Pokemon.
Eli, did you like that you couldn't turn off the experience share? I know you said you don't like grinding forever, but I know some people were like, "Oh, I didn't want that," or they only want a specific one. But did that not really bother you? Because I thought, oh, you go.
I mean, I guess I didn't really care. Had they give the option, I would have probably kept it on. I wish that they gave the option because then people wouldn't complain. But
yeah.
It doesn't.
No, I agree. I mean, they give so many other options. They give the option for the one-handed controller. They give an option, they give a lot of other settings options and all that you unlock a little bit later on when you talk to one guy. I was just like, that was the only option they didn't give. Otherwise, they gave you kind of almost everything. And I'm like, I guess there was just maybe a little insider. They're just like, you know what, people just want to play. And yeah, again, we always say this, but you can't cater to the competitive crowd. It's such a smaller kind of crowd to, it's maybe 2 to 5% of your overall 95% fan base.
Yeah,
sure. So as much as something they don't want, it's in reality, it's not of the best interest.
And this is why, I mean, the whole Pokemon cult thing, now that I think about it, they probably saw that Pokemon Bank was being used by literally 1% of people. That wouldn't surprise me. It was probably 100,000 people they had using Pokemon Bank. And they're like,
1% of their billion, you know what I mean? It's still a lot. But yeah, what you're saying is true. It was not a lot.
Yeah, I can only imagine what percentage of people are actually still paying. I am, but I'm.
Well, aren't they going to Pokemon Pass now? I'm confused when I saw
Pokemon Home.
That's it. Okay. But because I was looking at it and I saw a picture of Mewtwo. I was driving past the GameStop. I haven't gotten one forever, but I was like, you can get Mewtwo, and then it was like for Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go. I was like, I was gonna literally pick up Pokemon Roam just to get Mewtwo. But all right, yeah. So I'm assuming they're gonna shut down the bank and move everybody to Roam.
That would be my guess. Home, not Roam.
Oh, home.
Yeah, Pokemon Roam.
Roam, home. I mean,
it's the next region.
All right. You know what? I got a few random questions actually for you guys since you were the more hardcore. First off, I mean, Matt, you haven't really got to explore any of the towns, but this is more for Eli. Eli, how did you feel going through the towns? Like they weren't, I don't want to say they weren't like parallel or very short. Like they always showed you where the gym was. Like there's a lot more style and different camera angles. Did you appreciate that, or was it like, well, it didn't really matter much to you?
Yeah, no, I thought the towns were rather majestic. I
Okay.
really appreciated the detail, and they seemed a lot more epic and full of life, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, this
Uh,
game's got a lot of ambience. Like I think that's my favorite thing about this game is like this game is full of life. Like
yeah,
this reminded me, like this is what Pokemon would be like in a modern day kind of thing. Like man, as I mean, you probably see in the trailers, but as you get better, you get fans and people recognize you essentially. And
Oh, cool.
like the way the towns are centered, you always know where the gym is. It's this huge area, and people watch it on TV and they go to these stadiums. And I'm
Yeah.
like, this is awesome. Like, I felt like I was actually in that world rather than just like,
yeah,
oh yeah, I'm a trainer and oh I'm the champ and nobody cares. You know?
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I like the gym at the end when you fight the gym leader. It seems a lot more grand
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
than
It's
like
Dude, the music's amazing.
yeah,
it's
Like,
like
the Eurobeat like music. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, this game is like if you watch the TV show and you had this whole fantasy in your head about how the Pokemon world function, like this is it. This is how the Pokemon world functions in this game. So,
yeah,
uh,
it's on point. Like the gym leaders, like they mean something to each town. Like they like. I talked to all the NPCs already, and like some of them are like, yeah, if the gym leader loses too much, they go to the minors, and I'm like, oh dang, they have all these things. Like like there's challengers, there's different league types, and it's just like you're like, whoa, like you feel a part of it. Like I don't think the player customization is as much as like previous games. Like in this game, you could just buy outfits, which I don't really mind. I do like the card idea, but at the same time, it does feel kind of useless.
yeah, yeah,
Like it's like, oh, here's a card, and I'm like, oh, okay. Like I like setting up mine, but in reality, it doesn't mean anything at all. Like it just be in my bag and exist. But
Yeah.
the like I was saying before, I feel a part like I am in this game, and like especially with the soundtrack being so good, it was like I just wanted to keep going. I just wanted these battles to go on, and just I honestly wish there was even more I could do with it. It just gets me excited if they're gonna go full 3D or what kind of sequel they could build up from this because they realized, like you said, I think I don't want to say they were influenced by the anime, but they were influenced in a sense like by esports and how Pokemon is, and it's just like this
hmm
is your adventure. Like people don't make it. You run into NPCs, you're like, oh, I couldn't get past the second gym, instead of everybody being like, yeah, I was a kid, I went out for the thing. Like it's very cool.
yeah.
Definitely. So speaking of some differences between past games, I don't know if people have really talked about this, but so in previous games, all the wild Pokemon were random encounters only, and this time there are still random encounters. If you run around, you'll see an exclamation, and you have to follow it and catch it. But there's also Pokemon that you can see in the wild and just walk up to them. How do you guys feel about that kind of change?
You go first, Eli.
I think that I really appreciate the change. I think it's terrific. I like being able to interact and choose who I interact with, especially when you're like Pokemon hunting. If you're trying to fulfill a Pokedex, it definitely like it's even better. I think it's terrific. I think that it's a shame that you can't see the shiny Pokemon.
Mm.
However, I totally understand how that could be potentially abused because you like run, you're on a bike and you run up to like a grass area and there are literally what's got to be, like 15 Pokemon sticking out. And if you just bike around the entire wild area, you're bound to see a shiny Pokemon, within 5 minutes.
Hmm.
So I get like practically why they went with this decision. It kind of sucks. It's a pain in the ass to have to go into each battle individually if you're a shiny hunter. But other than that, I definitely really appreciate the overworld stuff.
Yeah, same. I was gonna say I do enjoy kind of knowing what Pokemon I want. I think my friend said it best. He's like, dude, I can choose which Pokemon I want to catch, And I was like, oh yeah, you have that option. Like the random encounters, usually it's one of them that's not appeared, like that has appeared on the overworld. But I do enjoy that it's also very easy to dodge battles, even random encounters. So things like repel and escape rope, I mean, I don't think there's an escape rope in the game at all. Like
Wait, there
repel is like
is.
But I'm just like looking at these things, and I'm just like, I don't really need them. Like, it's a lot easier, even if it's a random encounter. You could technically still dodge a random encounter. You just, it's more random Pokemon appearance versus bad luck kind of thing. I enjoyed the overworld. Like, I don't think there's that much tall grass. I think a lot of the thing was in the wild area. A lot of the focus was in it. As I said before, routes are very short, but the towns have like a lot, like Eli said, have a lot of life into it. So while they traded off on the overworld, a lot of that kind of stuff is in the wild area. So you can get a mix of both or whatever you want.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure of it myself because I liked going into random encounters and being like, "Oh, it's a surprise. What am I gonna see?" But I actually kind of like that it's mixed. Like you said, you can dodge them. Random encounters or whatever if you want.
Yeah, like the Rattatas that don't exist. You're like, I want to see this guy again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there are some still new ones that are in random encounters. So that's always nice to like walk in and be like, ooh, there's one I didn't see. So I like that. But what else I can say about it? Sometimes it is annoying trying to dodge them in the overworld. It's like, yeah, I want to go in the grass. Get out of my way. Stop following me. Because if you run, then they'll start chasing you. So
yeah, some of them are aggressive.
Yeah, they're super aggressive. I was getting chased by like two of them. I was like, guys, I'm way over leveled. Why are you guys chasing me? I was thinking it'd be like Earthbound where they run away.
Yeah, there's like a whistling button, but I'm like, can I have a button to like shoo them away so I can get in the grass? Because the grass is like too small. But the one reason this is a good change is because caves have this eliminates the problem with like caves, and I haven't gotten into water, so probably water as well, where you like walk 5 feet and then there's a battle. I'm like, holy crap, this just made it like you solved the problem.
Yeah, like caves and I'm telling you, caves and water, they must have had a higher like random encounter rate. There was no way you would go. Like I just felt like it would be like 30 times more if I was in a cave than I was in tall grass.
So yeah, I'm glad that's fixed. I heard caves aren't as big anyway, but it's still like a nice change, regardless.
Yeah, again, things are a lot shorter. Like, I mean, you could progress through the story pretty quick, but at the same time, there's a challenge to it. Like, you can't just go like, I'm just gonna go to each gym and never, and dodge every random encounter. I'm like, all right, you're gonna get wrecked, halfway through. There's, the bosses aren't chumps. So,
yeah.
So disregarding all of the fervor, let's say, on the internet about the problems with the game, because I'm not putting my foot in there, I would say the one biggest standout I've noticed is that there's no global trade system, which basically is you can trade online for specific Pokemon and like specific Pokemon that you've seen, and then either by level or sex, or I think you can see if they're shiny, whatever. Not having that is insane, because it basically means you have to find people and then just like hope that they have something you want, or just like get friends and be like, I want this one.
So I haven't yet figured out the trading system. Have you tried it?
I've only done one Wonder Trade thing. I hit Y and I was like, whoops, and I sent something I didn't want. But I have no idea how it works because I still have a Haunter, and I'm like, can anyone trade with me?
So yeah, how it works is you press Y to go in the YCOM thing or whatever, and then you can do Wonder Trades, like you said. They're called surprise trades now because they got to change the name apparently. And then there's obviously friendly trades, like trades with your friends, and then link trade is the one where like you sort of online trade with someone else. It basically searches for a random person that also wants to trade, and what you do is just select a Pokemon and they'll show it on their screen, and then they select a random one and show it on yours.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah,
so you can't see which Pokemon until you both offer it and then realize I don't want this or whatever, and then
bro, how am I gonna get all the Pokemon Shield stuff?
Yeah, no.
Well, we can trade.
I mean, you could luck out and get good stuff, but it's like, oh, well, I'm just gonna throw something out there and see what happens.
You're honestly better just doing Wonder Trades, because I did a couple and like got Sobble on like the third try, and then a couple more later I got like a new Pokemon that I haven't even seen before. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll stop there.
Matt, who'd you start with, since you said you got a Sobble from trade?
I started with Score Bunny because I saw
Nice.
Sobble's Final Evolution, and I said I don't want any of that. And
I
Grookey's
didn't
is
see
like,
any of
eh.
them. I didn't see any of them. I just start. I always start with fire type. I like Score Bunny. I don't know. I didn't. I think I wasn't impressed with his evolution set. In the same, I just saw Sobble's finally like 2 days ago. But I think the monkey's got the funniest final evolution. It's just funny.
It's probably the most creative of the three at the very least.
Yeah. The bongo is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I keep thinking he's Donkey Konga as a bear. But he's not a bear. He's a monkey. It's just I don't know. He looks more like a bear in his final evolution. Let's see. I'm trying to think of one more other thing besides how amazing the soundtrack is. Like, dude, it's so good. Matt, just get to a gym boss already and hear that. That's a banger.
Yeah, that sounds
so
great.
Good. I found out the track Toby Fox did. He did the I think versus Marnie track.
Cool.
Like, you won't hear it till like near the end of the game.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I heard it, like somebody shared it, and I was like, oh, this is the one Toby Fox did. But like Eli, you already heard it, so you probably have to go back and look for it.
Yeah, so this is definitely a confession, but I don't listen to too much music while I play Pokemon. I usually have a podcast on. So
That's smart. I feel that. I mean, when I was done, I kind of was just like, okay, I can watch TV while I like grind for Pokemon, which I think that's part of the charm of Pokemon. You can kind of do whatever you want while you play Pokemon. But I think this is the first time I genuinely was like, wow, I don't want to listen to anything. When I was just feeling it, man. I'm telling you, they did a wonderful job world building. I was telling Eli earlier, Matt. I don't know if you heard. It is the first time I beat a Pokemon game since XY. So I mean, it's been like a decade since I beat a game. So
did XY came out a decade? Okay, XY came out like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long because it was only 2 generations ago. He's like, I haven't beat one in this long. I'm like, so you only skipped one other generation.
It's been 2 whole generations. I have my cane out and everything, and everyone's like, that was like 3 years ago, dude. I'm like, oh, okay. All right, it took me a whole anime series to beat another Pokemon game, guys. All right, so full confession out there.
Actually, funny news about the anime, or interesting. Apparently, they're going to upload at least the Japanese versions to YouTube now. I don't know how long after, but they uploaded the first one. So
they completely rebooted it, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be Ash and like some other guy, and it's gonna be like touring all the regions or something, which is funny.
I think it's a good idea for a reboot. I think it's a good time. I mean, a lot of new people are getting Switches, like their first time on it. And, Ash did end with a victory in his let's just say his grand tour. So the fact that they're kind of like, oh, we're gonna start fresh from here. We're gonna we'll push it forward with Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
I think as overall, like, it's a good marketing idea.
And they got like Pikachu's origin. Apparently, they're doing.
Oh, nice.
That's kind of cool.
Pikachu's origin.
Before he was in the first episode, we were wearing rubber gloves and carrying him with a leash. You're gonna know why he hates those Pokeballs. I can't believe I remember that. I just remember those pink rubber gloves. Dude, that'll leash him. I'm like, all right. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I didn't like any rival in the game. I only like Leon. I gotta be honest. I thought. I mean, while the gym leaders were a bit more of a challenge, I think the only guy I really cared for was the champion Leon. I didn't really care about Hop. I didn't care about the Marnie and whatever the hell the other person is.
I liked Marnie.
Yeah, I don't know. She just kind of felt there. I mean, it's different. I mean, XY, everyone was your pal. I know they were going that way lately. Even in Sun Moon, he's like, oh, we're working together. And I kind of like the idea of having a rival. Granted, it's not, Gen 1, Gen 2, where they're like, hey, bro, and they'll throw dirt at your face.
I was just thinking of something like that, too. Throw dirt at your face. We're on the same wavelength.
Like, hey, how's it going? And then you're like, oh, yeah, I'm doing great. And then he just runs away, takes your money, and you're like, oh, classic rival. But yeah, no, I wasn't really feeling like the rivals in this game, except for Leon. Like, it felt like I wanted to surpass him. And again, I think that this goes overall with what Pokemon can do. I never played Gale of Darkness XD, but I was like, maybe they could do like something like that now, since they've already tested out the wild area, and they're testing 3D through this game. and I think if it has a good enough reception or something like that. I mean, there's online play, which is technically a first or a step towards the first thing, like working together. I know people complain they always wanted the MMO Pokemon, or they play those fake versions online. So
Yeah, I mean, this is a step in the right direction with the raid battles. I think in terms of the MMO stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so both of you guys have beaten it, and I'm far from that. But since you both beat it, what do you think of the game now that you've beaten it?
I mean, obviously the story's a little short. You probably would have heard that online. There are issues with the with some of the graphics that pop in. It looks like a DS game, but I don't really mind. Like I don't expect Pokemon to look like some sort of massive 4K like beautiful thing.
yeah, I'm not expecting Uncharted while I play the game.
But yeah, I mean, I think the game is a really solid experience. I love the wild area. If you have not been consistent on every generation of Pokemon, I think this is terrific. In terms of like feeling like there's a large selection of Pokemon to play with. It's not a super easy game. It looks like a lot of the competitive elements of Pokemon have been streamlined. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great game. Better than I thought.
Yeah, yeah, no, same thing. I was never part of the, oh, this game's terrible by looking at a screenshot or a video of it. But granted, I've never been the most hardcore guy, but no, it's definitely, I had a great time. I think it's a great game. I think people who have never played Pokemon need to play this game. Like I was actually telling to a few people who were like, oh, I've never played Pokemon. I don't know if I'll get this game. I'm like, this is actually like the perfect game to get into. Like if you're gonna start getting into Pokemon, it like Matt said, I mean Eli said, to step in the right direction. They added stuff that or they built onto stuff that we never expected them to. Matt, also what you said, like caves aren't annoying and ocean/seas aren't annoying, and I could understand like that would deter some people. Overall, it's not my favorite Pokemon game. I think Heart Gold, Soul Silver is still like the epitome of Pokemon for me.
Yeah, I agree with
that game. Yeah, that game just had so much to do. You could get any legendary at any time. Well, almost any time. Like it just felt like there was even more to do every time I did something. I was like, oh man, I got to do this, or I can't wait to do this. This area, while the world is a little bit smaller, that wild area just brings so much like not the, I don't want to say illusion, but something like it puts you entranced, like something like there's something more beyond it. Like I don't even think I explored the full wild area yet, and like I want to, like I'm excited to do that. And it's just the game's it's a bit short, it's a bit smaller, it's a bit short, and I give them the excuse like this is their first time experimenting into.
Oh, also
like
the story is terrible. Sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't mention that earlier.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, Eli. It again.
That's not a surprise.
Overall, though, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm not. I mean, I'm not expecting. Again, I'm not expecting Uncharted. I don't need some gritty Pokemon. Oh, super. I don't need, Detective Pikachu graphics. IRL and this, that, and this. It's satisfying enough. Well, the combat could start getting a little bit dated, and I mean, I'm an idiot. I never know any types, so I'm always like, "Oh, damn it, I'm dumb." But for you guys who've always known it, or like have been, it's like, okay, I know what to do here. Quick select. Maybe they can update that, be the next big thing, or they do something combined with that with the wild area. Who knows? However, this is definitely a must play for like any Pokemon fan, and it's the right game for new guys. It really is. It's the game I would push them to play.
Nice. That isn't a glowing review. I don't know what is.
Yeah. Well, okay. Although, a quick thing on the story, in so many of these other games, you have like really, I guess,
consequences.
You have deeper, yeah, and you have deeper. Well, I mean, in the story, you have deeper like characters. You have these teams that are motivated by somewhat understandable motives. And you see that. I mean, I think Black and White probably has the best story. But like you generally at least have some sort of like
conflict. Yeah, there's some
Yeah,
type
conflict. This game doesn't have conflict. I mean, there is, but it's like not.
It's
like
2 seconds. It's 2 seconds
Yeah,
long. It's like it just comes out of nowhere. It's like, oh
there's
yeah,
10 minutes of conflict at the end of the game, and I won't spoil what that is because I'm sure you're all very excited to see it firsthand. But there's no conflict.
I forgot. Me and Eli. So you said it. I forgot that there was a problem. I like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, man, I gotta be the champ. That's all I thought about this game. And then you're like, yeah, but there was a story and conflict. I'm like, oh yeah, there's more than being the champ.
I'm not surprised they kind of forgot because, like Mike was just saying, I think they were probably just so focused on like, hey, gym leaders and all these like tournaments actually mean something now, like the anime does. And then I guess they just got so focused on that
I mean, look,
think like most of the games are, let's be honest, pretty ridiculous. Like, oh my gosh, the world's going to implode unless I like throw a master ball at this one Pokemon and save the world. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
like the world is
Matt,
in danger every couple of years, sure. But,
yeah, but like you feel for that, like there's an organization or they've been planning this and it's the right
time.
Some
like flavor I know to it, yeah.
Like Sun and Moon had a pretty good one. Like Matt said, Black and White probably has the best one. Like personally, like when I think about like Gold and Silver, the Heart Gold Soul Silver, like how your rival is actually the son, of Team Rocket's Giovanni, and you're like, oh, I mean, you're like, oh my gosh, like it just builds on to all these other things, and you look for Red. Like this game was all like, yeah, you do Pokemon, you want to win, you get fans, and oh my gosh. The one issue that we forgot to mention, like there was no build up. Like it would have been like, oh, this could be a problem.
I think
like,
I know what happens, and like as far as it seems like they kind of build up to it, or there's like some lore in the early parts of the game.
There is lore. There is lore.
Yeah, but I mean, like it seems like they're implying, or not implying, foreshadowing that something's gonna happen at the beginning, just based off of like. This many years ago, this thing happened. It's like, okay, so I guess that's what's going to happen.
Exactly. So, they try to Tomb Raider it, but like there's no in between it, so they just set it up, and then they're like, oh crap, we just told you about it, and then it's just fortuitous timing. Yeah. But I mean, overall, like I'm not, we all said it. We're not playing this game to be like, man, I was waiting for a tearjerker. How dare they not put this in? Like, I mean, that's. Odyssey is Mario's best story game that's non-Paper Mario, and I'm not going to be like, damn, they really botched it this time. Like, granted, I think that was the perfect game to finally give Mario a happy ending, you know what I mean? But, I mean, Mario's never going to end, so you can't ever give him an ending.
Yeah. But, yeah, Team Skull, or, just blew it.
Oh, Team Yell,
Yell looks kind of lame.
Yeah.
I like Team Skull. I thought they were... I thought they were cool because they didn't really have any sort of ulterior motives. They're just like a bunch of thugs being dickheads. I'm like, that's a pretty cool take. And then I'm like, this is kind of lame, but...
No, I mean, to be honest, this was the most forgettable team. I still don't know the name. Eli, what is the name of the team?
Yeah, Team Yell.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, okay. I thought it was Team Noise when I first played. I was like, man, and I was just like, I don't know these people.
Team Slight Nuisance.
Yeah. And like they never seemed bad. I was like, they just kind of like Pokemon's like, well, we always have a team, so we need to have a team in this game, kind of thing.
Yeah, and they're not bad. This team is just weird. I mean, I don't even know.
That's the only way to
Fanatics.
say it. They're weird. But
they're
look, it's not.
They're like
wrong.
K-pop fans. They just show up and do a bunch of things they shouldn't and annoy people. At least based off of at least based off of Twitter, from what I see.
No, but there's nothing wrong with trying to like always go back to your roots. However, it's okay to like cut something if it's like just not important, kind of thing. Team Rocket, I mean, you said Team Skull are just thugs, so they were just bad people around, which makes sense. I forgot the Black and White team, but you look at these. I think the teams were the most important in that Ruby Sapphire, because they were trying to flood the world or something like that. Yeah. And it's like, okay, all these were organized teams. There's leaders of this, leaders of that. Like in this game, it's like, well, because we're Pokemon, we need a team, and they're just going to be around. And I'm just like, all right. I mean, you could have literally put anybody there. It could have been Snorlax blocking the way the entire time. Like it does not matter.
Fair.
So. I mean, but again, nothing really that we're saying deters like the goodness of the game. You know, that juicy goodness. So these are all like kind of dumb things. Like, well, you know, I didn't find any hats I liked in the game. All right, I gotta be honest with you guys. All the hats were trash. Okay.
All right. I think one more thing, and then we'll probably have to get going. Is
right.
so this time around, rather than show off all the Pokemon on Twitter as some sort of, I don't know, get some social media buzz and then just ruin the game for everyone, this time they decided to only show a handful of them. And by handful, it's probably like 20, but still a small amount compared to the actual Pokedex. How did you guys feel about that? Now that they decided to show fewer compared to, I guess, X and Y and Sun and Moon especially.
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. To me, personally, it didn't really matter. To me, when I play, I think for any veteran player, they're always biased towards their Pokemon. So like, I just found out when I turned on the game and I was playing in front of people, like, yeah, there's no Dragonite. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, I quit. I was gonna do. I went back to the store and was like, excuse me, can you return this? But in reality, I don't really mind. I like trying out new Pokemon. Granted, that's a lie, but I do like to learn about new Pokemon. As long as I can get one of my favorites, like if I can get a Dragonite, a Charizard, or and obviously the starter, I'm usually pretty good with that. I'm glad they didn't spoil everything because they want people to explore the game and learn new things. And somebody else is gonna spoil it anyway. I mean, data miners have shown that there's 40 Pokemon that they haven't even, that are not even in the game, but they're gonna be added later on. And you're like, oh, okay. Like,
well, they might be added. We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Yeah, that's happened before. Where?
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was one. So X and Y, there was like a special. I forget the exact Pokemon, but there's like a special butterfly Pokemon thing. And it's like in the story, it's like, oh, I haven't seen you in 1,000 years, and it's like a special colored version, and it was like within the game, and then it was just never released.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it's like, oh, I guess just because it's in the data doesn't mean they'll actually do anything with it.
All right. Well, I mean, again,
if it's a new Pokemon, like they'll definitely do it, but
if it's an old one, it's like,
might
happen,
like
or it might be an event.
Maybe.
Okay, but again, I know there's always events going on. I mean, it's not like you ever miss out on your favorite. Like, if you like Celebi, there's always an event about Celebi, no matter what game it is. And I'm like, I don't even like this Pokemon. I didn't even know it existed when I played Silver. I learned it existed in Soul Silver for the remake. I was like, oh my gosh, what the heck is this? But
bro, you didn't hear about the movie?
Yeah, I was like, I was on my Yu-Gi-Oh phase then. Yeah. But yeah, no, again, if I could get, as long as there's one or two stable Pokemon I've always enjoyed or always had on my team, I really don't mind if they don't reveal everything at all. I like kind of discovering it myself. I mean, you're in a new region. Why would I know, everything that's out there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I mean, I really appreciated it. I think that it was really nice to have the surprise of going into the game and encountering Pokemon for the first time that I'd never seen before, and then evolutions that I'd never seen before. So yeah, I was definitely down with the reveal strategy. Like I saw enough of the new Pokemon to where I'm like, okay, cool, it's a new game, but not too much to where I had it spoiled for me.
Yeah, same here. So I was gonna say. Yeah, I went a bit further because the problem is sometimes people like sharing, whether it's funny images or whatever, and they end up showing a new thing. It's like, I haven't seen that before. I kind of wish I didn't. So I ended up like muting all the media on like my mobile Twitter, and then like muted like all the hashtags, including like the Switch one if you share screenshots and like everything else. It was funny, before the podcast, I'm like, okay, I got a minute. I'll just go on Twitter. And like the first image is like another new Pokemon. I'm like, okay, off of Twitter now. Just stop. Just don't even. And then YouTube, like if I go on the home page, it'll show like thumbnails of other people. I'm like, I can't block them because the stupid Chrome extension doesn't work. So I'm like trying to avoid everything as possible. It's funny.
I'm sorry, man. That's rough.
No, I haven't seen too many new ones, but
all right, well that's good. I mean, my thing is, if I ever see something, I'm pretty good at forgetting things. I'll look at it, and that image will be burned in my head, and then I'll like I'll just try to remember everything else about the day or around it, or I'll convince myself that way I learned it was it comes like this. So when I learn how that Pokemon gets revealed or that scene happens, it's always wrong because I was convincing myself, oh, this is probably how that happens, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the way I usually try to avoid it. If I can't burn it out of my memory, usually I do.
Yeah, nice.
But now the other thing I was gonna say, but now I can't. Oh, that's the one thing I think that turned me from Black and White though was it is kind of I guess irrelevant or kind of erroneous, but I didn't like how I was forced to use new Pokemon in Black and White. In this game, I felt like I had the option, and so I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Black and White. I was like, man, I don't want to use Girder or whatever.
So you're just difficult, Mike, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
But they were all ugly.
I was like, I was an old man playing. I was like, they took my Charmander, and they're like, man, Charmander, you can't have picked them in 5 generations. I'm like, what? What generation is this? Where's my AA batteries? All right.
It's DS, bro. You can't use AA.
I was like, what the heck? I can see this game in the dark, and they're like, yeah, backlight, dude. Okay. But no, I thought the idea of having options makes the game better because I feel like sometimes forcing things on players, be it veteran or new, is just kind of whack. Like, you know, it just I personally was turned off from that. But in this game, it never felt like I had to do something. Like I have to do this, I have to do that. Like I honestly fought off staying in the wild area for 3 more hours. I was there for 3 hours, dude. When I started the game, I'm like, I gotta leave this area.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I forced myself to leave because it just was like that. Like I even like doing the curry deck in the game, and I still don't know how to do it. I still don't know how to make curry, but I have like 7 done, and I'm just like, I don't know when to put in the love. I don't know how much flame is good, and I don't know how much stirring is do. And I just spam the button really hard, and I still haven't got a gold medal. Somebody tell me how curry works when they can.
It's harder than Cooking Mama, apparently.
Oh, dude, 100% harder. Okay, it doesn't make that when you get to that part. Please tell me how to get a good medal in curry.
I've only done like 2 dishes, and I think one was bronze and the other was silver.
Yeah, same, dude.
So.
It's impossible. I don't know if I'm supposed to do it too fast, match the guy, but again, it's dumb. I don't know why every game, I'm going to say Kingdom Hearts 3D and this game, they always force those little pet simulating, camp simulating things, but I guess that's other people's cup of tea, so I won't question it.
Yeah. It was cool catching a Pokemon and it like referenced, oh, it doesn't really get along with the Galarian version. I'm like, what? I didn't know there was one of those. It's cool. Now I have to find it. And this specific Pokemon, I don't know if you know about it. I don't want to say it in case people haven't heard, but it's not. It looks so weird compared to like the original thing, and like the type is so random. Like you would never actually guess.
You're talking about my favorite Pokemon in this. It's definitely Galarian is my favorite Pokemon in this game. He's so funny. He's so funny looking.
The derpiest looking thing. It's got a beard. It's so.
It's great. It's great.
I had to take a picture. I'm like, this is too stupid. I'm laughing. I gotta evolve this at some point just to see what it looks like.
Dude, I love that. I love Galarian. When I first ran into him, I was like, who the heck is this? I was like, this is the best Pokemon out there. One other thing, Matt. Again, remember how I said Wild Area was broken? Mm-hmm. You could, if you collect enough watts, you could have like Surf or Hyper Pump or Hyper Beam to start the game. So
nice. Yeah, I saw some of those moves.
Yeah, you're just
like these is way too many watts right now. No, I'll come back later.
I really thought about it. I was like, oh man, I want my Pokemon to come in with Surf, like Hyper Beam and like Thunder Fang, and I'm just like, no, that wouldn't be fair. That would not be fair at all.
I don't like how they're disposable because like we got rid of that nonsense before. It's like, oh, TMs aren't disposable anymore. It's like, great, we don't have to keep buying them. And it's like now they're disposable. Some
no,
disposable.
It's TRs and TMs.
No, I know, but I mean, like they were basically TMs before anyway. So
I don't get that either. Like, there's no HMs anymore, but then it's just like
it's just a way to like get you back to go to the wild area so you can keep grinding and then get more.
I'm never gonna use my TRs, man. My goal is to have every TM 0199, even though that never exists in any game ever. Okay.
All right, so I think we'll leave it there for this week. Eli, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Policyline, and then my rating sometimes on Nintendo Enthusiast.
Nice. Mike, where can people find you?
Guys, you can find me on youtube.com/SMB user/SMB Gaming 64 or Twitter, Troy Filibuster. I have the Stretchers that's out. If you guys are interested in looking at that, that game is actually very fun. So check that out.
Nice. Yeah, and he has some Pokemon videos too, so check out that.
Get spoiled, kids.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I had to mute all of it. Not mute it. I'm like, hide. I'm not looking at this.
Friend.
It's just the more Pokemon videos, I'm gonna get more suggestions, and I can't.
You don't worry, I'm double Pokemon. But like I said, if anybody wants anything else from it,
I support you in spirit.
Eli, I'll write it in text. But after, I was like, did you do that post game stuff in the winter town? Is what I would say.
All right. So wherever you're listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on pretty much every platform on the internet. Hit us up with your questions, or if you're interested in being a guest at Just Another Castle on Twitter, or me directly at the Mango Viking. So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo.
Cue the music.